Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to take the time to thank you for joining us for the Multi-Factor Authentication webinar. My name is Sue Scott. I'm the Customer Success Manager here at JSCM. Joining me in a little bit will be Madison Slater. She is our General Manager and WatchGuard expert, so she will provide some great insight on MFA. So let's go ahead and get started. I have just a couple housekeeping items. Your lines are all muted and you can only use the computer audio. Note there's no dial-in available today. The webinar is being recorded, so if you missed part of it or would like to share it with a colleague or revisit it yourself, it can be played back on our website. There's also a chat window located in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. And we do welcome all questions, and we will have those answered at the end of the webinar. So let's get started. Passwords just aren't enough. We like to use the phrase around here that passwords are dead. There's not a password out there that can't be cracked. And that's super important to your environment or in your environment. In the recent breaches out there, passwords were leaked in about 65% of them. In 81% of hacking-related breaches, compromised passwords were the culprit. And this is especially scary, but the average person reuses each password 14 times. As you can see, there's a common theme going through these stats, and that's passwords. And we need to find a way to protect our environment with layers of security. This leads us to multi-factor authentication. I usually don't do this, so I'm going to do it here because this is a pretty important statement and definition of MFA. It's an electronic authentication method in which a device user is granted access to a website or application only after successfully presenting two or more pieces of evidence to an authentication mechanism: knowledge, possession, and inherence. So it's either something you know, so it's either a code that is provided to you that you input into the MFA application, or it's something you have, say your smartphone, or even your smartwatch. I use my Apple Watch all the time because it just pops up on there and I can hit approve and not even pick up my phone. Or it's something you are, such as a fingerprint or facial recognition. This allows for that extra layer of security. MFA provides many benefits, but here are just a few. It provides security. Provides the security that we all long for in our environments to protect our assets, accounts, and other important information. It helps us close the gaps, those gaps that allow unwanted access into the environment, leaving your company vulnerable to a breach. And then all of that allows us peace of mind. It allows us to have that peace of mind in our organizations, letting our company work confidently and worry-free. Introducing AuthPoint. It's a leader in the multi-factor authentication world, and it's secure, easy, and powerful. With AuthPoint's authentication service, it goes beyond the traditional two-factor authentication by providing innovative ways to positively identify users. You can implement this across your network, VPNs, and even cloud applications. The important thing to remember here that is even non-technical users find AuthPoint easy and convenient to use. We do find this when we're dealing with customers and looking at MFA, and they say their users are not open to change or don't adapt to change easily, but we do find that it becomes second nature. So it's either picking up that phone or, just holding up your arm and clicking approve. It's really an easy process and does become second nature. We use it internally. I use it every day. And it's just easy to use. AuthPoint's completely cloud managed, providing a secure cloud infrastructure for MFA. It's simple and intuitive and managed in WatchGuard Cloud's centralized management. It's a multi-tier, multi-tenant platform, allowing integration into your security infrastructure. It has a very friendly user interface, and Madison will help demonstrate that in a little bit here. The AuthPoint mobile app provides simple and effective authentication at your fingertips. It creates a secure push notification to either the user's smartphone, smartwatch, showing who and where someone is trying to authenticate from. After selecting approve, the users quickly gain access to their normal network resources and cloud applications. You can also use the hardware token. This can be used in place of your smartphone / smartwatch. And we do find this, in environments where either the user does not have a smartphone, or say it's a government entity and they can't require, or this can happen in the private sector as well, they can't require their users to use their personal smartphones for business use. So you can provide the hardware token that provides a one-time code to the device that the user actually inputs into the AuthPoint app prompt. It's really easy. With AuthPoint, there's a number of features, but I just want to name a few here. You can secure a VPN for remote access. We're seeing this more and more every day with what 2020 was, and 2020 continues to be with a number of people working from home. It just allows that additional layer of security for your users. It also protects employee logins. This is so important in our environments, just to make sure that the right people are accessing the right areas, and that the outsiders are not. You can secure cloud application used in your environment. We see it a lot in implementing with Office 365 and other cloud applications in environments. And you can set up a single sign-on portal as well to make things easy. And one of the most important things in so many organizations throughout the healthcare and many others that have compliance standards they need to meet, it allows you to help stay compliant. And before moving on to Madison's demo, I really just want to leave you with probably the most important benefit of AuthPoint and MFA in general. It provides that additional security by adding protection in layers. This helps you eliminate your company's #1 risk, and that's access. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Madison for the demo, and I know she's going to provide some great information for you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Hope you are all having a great week. I know here in Charlotte it's been pretty rainy. I'm definitely looking forward to some sunshine, but I don't think we're getting that anytime soon. So I want to spend some time going through AuthPoint with you. But before I do that, I want to tell you a little story. So one of the things we do are security assessments, and one of the things we do during security assessments is test passwords. So I got a message from one of the guys on my team this morning. He's currently running an assessment and he's doing an audit of the company's Active Directory credentials. Of the, let's say, I'm just going to round, 500 accounts that are in their Active Directory, he has already cracked almost 300 of those passwords. Now, I want you to think about that because I know in IT, one of the big things we struggle with is passwords. Our users hate them, and anytime we tell them that they have to have a more secure password, they grumble and complain because they really don't want to do that. But we all know that passwords are important, but we also know that we can't leave it up to our users to always have secure passwords. Even if you turn on the complexity inside of Active Directory, where you're saying 8 characters, complexity, which means uppercase, lowercase, symbol, number, you have to have at least 3 of those. I can still make my password with a capital P and an @ sign. Passwords, like Sue said, are dead, which is why MFA is so important. Now, we've been on this MFA train now for a while because we do security. And when we were looking at options, there are a bunch of them out there. The big thing for us was an easy to set up, easy to manage, and easy to use platform. And I will say that AuthPoint has hit all 3 of those. When we do demos, we always like to show you live environments. So what I'm showing you guys is our actual AuthPoint setup. This is not a trial that is set up. This has been in production now for a couple of years, and we use it for pretty much everything. We have a saying around here at JSCM, we don't just sell security, we live security, and we do it in everything that we do. So any new employee that we have coming in, we just tell them as soon as they walk in the door, be prepared, we are doing MFA on everything. But I will say it has been one of the easiest implementations that we've ever done. So I want to walk you through the admin side of things. I also want to show you some of the user experiences that you can expect. Like I said, AuthPoint is super easy to configure, and one of the things that I really do like about it is that it's all cloud-based. So everything is done. So if you log into your WatchGuard.com account, if you already have one, you can go under WatchGuard Cloud. You can also get to it directly by going to cloud.watchguard.com and logging in there. So that will land you here in the cloud portal. And there are a couple of things that are existent in the WatchGuard Cloud, but AuthPoint is definitely one of the leading pieces that we use out of this. So when I log in, just from a navigation perspective, you're going to have some different monitoring options, but I like to go straight into configure because I actually need to get it set up and running. Now with AuthPoint, there are a couple of ways that you can do this, but the easiest way to manage it is to sync it with your domain. Use your Active Directory, use your credentials that are already in place, use your accounts that are already in place, and sync that with them. That is the only piece that you have to actually interact with your own internal device or your own internal domain, is you do have to install a component that will sync between the cloud and will sync here into our sync from our Active Directory here into our cloud. So just to give you some views into the navigation, one of the first things that we do, like I said, is we're going to tie this into Active Directory. So you can create different external identities. So I can do LDAP or Azure AD. And then when I add this in, I'm just giving it some basic information, the name, the LDAP search space, my system account, and then I can even get down into how often do I want to sync. So you can see we've actually got 2 different domains. I have our regular Active Directory domain, and then we have our management domain as well. Now, inside of these, you specify what groups from those different domains you want to sync in. It's all done by security group. So when you sync this with your network, it's not automatically just pulling everyone in. You can pick and choose based off of what this implementation is going to look like. So we have a couple of groups that we pull in that will then determine what our users are going to have access to. So if I look at my Active Directory here, I can check my groups, and I've got a couple of different groups that I have set up. From the Active Directory or the domain side, if I go to downloads, the only thing that I have to install there is my gateway. And that's really just the service that is going to run between my domain and my cloud to sync those actual user accounts. Now, once I get that initial piece set up, the first thing that I'm going to do is actually pull my users in based off of the groups that I had set up. So if I go back to my users, you can see here all of the users that we have syncing to our AuthPoint cloud. And again, these are all done based off of different security groups that we have set up inside of our domain. Now, what happens when you pull a user in, this is going to shift over to our user experience, it's going to create a token for them. Or at least at the very beginning, it sends them an invite to create their token. Now, like Sue said, AuthPoint can operate in two different perspectives. It can operate from an app on the user's mobile device, or it can operate as a hard token. The way that AuthPoint is licensed is by user. Each user can have up to 5 tokens. So you can see here, as an example, Adam has a hardware token as well as a token on his mobile device. Each user can have up to 5. So let's say you have a user that has a personal mobile device as well as a business managed or business owned mobile device. They want that AuthPoint app set up on both. Each user can have up to 5 tokens. It is purely licensed by user. It does not matter how many different things we're going to tie this into. That's what we're concerned with when it comes to sizing or speccing this out. Now, what does that look like from a user experience? So the first thing that the user is going to get is an email that says, welcome to AuthPoint. So we've actually got a new employee starting next week. So this is going to be part of the process that he walks through on his first day. He's got this activation email sitting in his inbox. All that the user has to have prior to this, if they're using the mobile app, is that application installed on their phone. And all of you right now can go and install AuthPoint onto your phone. It's in your respective operating system store, whatever they call it. AuthPoint. If you search for that in the store, it's a free application. You all can download it right now. So what happens is that this AuthPoint app, or this AuthPoint invite gets sent to the user. They click Start Activation. And then it's going to take them to a simple screen where their app, there's an option where they hit a QR code icon. They scan this into their app, and that is what creates their token. So next week when our new employee starts, he will activate his token, and then I will see that token code listed here inside of my portal. Very easy from a user experience. From a hardware perspective, the hardware is developed by WatchGuard. So if you purchase hardware, the only thing that you're having to do is add those serial numbers into your account. There's no weird seed files or anything like that like we sometimes get with third-party tokens. We add it into our portal, and then you assign it to your users the way that you decide you want that split out. Now, this app, this is what it's going to look like from our user perspective. So again, you can use this just for your own personal stuff. If you are used to using something like the Google Authenticator app, the base form of AuthPoint works very similarly. So you can actually tie in third-party tokens. So on mine, I have my GoDaddy account. I've got my let's see, I've got like a million of them. I've got my Cisco account. I've got a lot of stuff, my 401k account, all of these tools that allow me when I'm setting up my login to do a QR MFA. I can scan those right inside my application, and that's where you can use this just as a free authentication tool. But if I get one of those activation emails, then I'm going to see it pop up in the top part of my app, and these are going to be the ones actually managed by AuthPoint. So from a user perspective, the app itself, very easy to use. If you have a user that they get a new phone, their phone dies, things like that, it is possible to transfer these between devices if that is needed. I had to go through that a few months ago. I can say from personal experience, it was not the end of the world. It was actually pretty easy. Now, once your users are synced, again, everything is being based off of security group. Security groups are how you decide what they have access to. The great thing about AuthPoint, and Sue mentioned this, you can tie this into pretty much anything that you want. We use it here in a lot of different areas. So we use it on our mobile VPNs on our WatchGuard firewall. Works great. We also tie it in with our Microsoft 365 hosted email. I didn't like Microsoft's version of MFA. I didn't like the way that it was controlled. I didn't like that it was just doing SMS because I know that's not as secure. So we tied our AuthPoint into it. We use it on our computer logins, and I'll talk about that here in just a second. We use it on other third-party apps like our GoToMeeting accounts or our voice over IP accounts that we have. Basically, if it's a third-party tool and they allow for SAML authentication, SAML, which a lot of them do now, you can tie an AuthPoint to it. And I will show you a list here in just a second of a bunch of resources that you can have access to. Now, when you're setting up accounts, then we do need to decide what resources we are tying this in. So you can see here, we've got this tied into a lot of stuff. So our email, we've got it tied into our Firebox, which is our MFA. I've got it tied into our Amazon AWS logins. We've got a lot of things that this is being tied into. Inside of my configuration, I can also write policies. Now, these policies are relatively new, and what this does is allow me to decide with what I'm using. So this is going to be for my domain admins. For my logon app, my logon app is going to be the thing that I install on my computer. Here are the MFA options that I'm going to allow. So they have to put in their password, but then I'm going to allow for a push or a one-time password. So you can write policies to determine what you want them to have access to or how you want that MFA to work. So as an example, our log me in, that's our support tool. I'm not requiring that they put in a password. They just have to approve through MFA. That's our support tool, so I need my techs to be able to get into it quickly. Now, things like my Microsoft 365, you better believe that they have to put in their password, but then they have multiple options that they can use when they're getting into it. And I will show you what that looks like here in just a second as well. Now, one of the best things about MFA, about AuthPoint, is the push notification. The push notification is great. Like Sue said, it can pop up on your phone. Mine pops up on my Apple Watch as well. So this is going to look like this on our mobile device. So I log into my account. I select the push notification. It pops up on my phone, and I can hit deny or approve. Do you still need to train your users on what MFA is and why they shouldn't just hit approve every time that pops up? Absolutely. There is always going to be room for user error. We all know that. We know that our users are the most susceptible piece of our network. You do have to train your employees, but it is very easy, if that is their legitimate request, for them to hit approve, and then it will complete the login process. So it's not a difficult step whatsoever. So to show you what that looks like from a user experience, I am going to sign in here to my email. So if I am tying this in with a third party, like my Microsoft 365, what it does is it navigates me. Once I start that authentication, it sees that I am actually using another form of authentication, which is my AuthPoint. So it will navigate me to my AuthPoint URL. So put in my name or my email address, put in my password, and then here are my different options. So I can hit send push. That would send the push to my phone. I can approve that or deny it, and then that will push me right through. And now I can log in without problem. What if a user forgets their phone? What if they don't have their token in front of them? That's okay. When you log in, there is an option for forgot token, and you can do that with the help of the admin, so you would be involved. So the user can do forgot token, and you can work with them to still get them access into that account. I somehow made it to work one day without my phone. I don't know how that happened, but I had to do that. I had to do the forgot token. I was able to get in without issue. There are also hardware tokens. So if your user has a mobile device or does not have a mobile device, or they have a mobile device that they do not want to use for business reasons or for business purposes, it's their personal device. That's fine. It's their choice. There are hardware tokens. There are some limitations with the hardware token. You can't do push to those. The hardware token is a rotating 6-digit code. So certain things it is not going to be compatible with, things like the mobile VPNs. The hardware tokens don't necessarily work, at least with the SSL, I know for sure, because it does not give you the option to do a one-time password. You have to do a push on that. But you do have those options there if you want it. The final piece I want to touch on is the log on to a computer. So when a user logs into their computer, you can deploy the logon app so that they put in their domain credentials, username and password, and then the very next step before they can actually get into that device is this logon app. You push it out to the devices that you want it on. So you install that app on the actual computers that you want the MFA capabilities on. If there is a device that you don't want MFA, you just don't install that application there. But once that application is installed, every user that logs into that device has to navigate through this MFA option. I still have my push. Let's say that I am offline. I'm sitting on a plane. I haven't taken off yet because they can't figure out what they're doing. I'm working on my computer. I don't have Wi-Fi. I can't do the push notification. That's fine. I've got other options, so I can do a one-time password. I can scan the QR code into my app and get another password. I can still get into a device even if it's offline. I cannot emphasize to you guys how easy this has been to roll out, not just for ourselves, but all the clients that we have helped install this on. All the things that you can put this on are actually, it's quite an impressive list. There's a ton of stuff that, third-party stuff that you can implement this on. Just to give you some level of understanding, this is WatchGuard's authentication guide. These are all the things that they have documented that you can tie AuthPoint into. It is not just WatchGuard. It works well with WatchGuard, but that's not just the only thing that you can use it for. All right, I will pass it back over to Sue. If you guys have any questions, she'll cover this as well. Please feel free to send those over in chat, and we'll be happy to answer.
All right, thank you so much, Madison. Sorry it took me a second there. I'm just going to go ahead and one more here and ask if there's any questions. Do we have any questions out there? I'm not seeing any, but let me see here. All right, I do not see any questions. If you do have any questions, please reach out to your account manager with JSCM. We are here. We're happy to help you. If you have any questions.
Hey, Sue, sorry to interrupt. I do see a question that just came in,
okay.
but I think I need a little clarification on it. So I mentioned AuthPoint can manage third-party. Can you use other authentication apps to manage AuthPoint? I'm assuming that you mean like as an example, using Google Authenticator on your phone to manage AuthPoint. Unfortunately, no. Because of the way that the token works, you do need that AuthPoint app. But because it's free, we haven't really run into any issues with that. What I did around here, because we did already have some MFA rolled out through those third-party apps, I just got everyone to convert those over into AuthPoint if they wanted to. That way it was all in one spot.
Great. Thanks, Madison. If there aren't any other questions, once again, if you have any questions, go ahead and reach out to any one of us as your account managers, and we will be happy to help you. And if you have any questions moving forward, we'll get those questions answered for you. But thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it, and we look forward to talking with you soon. Have a great day.